Morning, everybody. Just wanted to do a brief segment this morning on kayaks and what's the best kayak for you. And my personal opinion on this, the best kayak for anybody is the one that fits your budget and does what you think it needs to do. About a year ago, I bought my first kayak, and it was a Perception Rambler. It's a tandem. It's 13.5 foot. Has a tremendous weight capacity. I think it's 525 or 550. It's actually got 3 seats in it. And I'll be honest with you, it wasn't the kayak that I wanted. What I wanted was, one of the single seat fishing kayaks. And I'll be honest with you, I was willing to spend about $500 or $600 on it. And basically, I ended up opting for this tandem because I didn't know if maybe my wife would want to go with me when I'm out fishing or just out exploring. So I did opt for the tandem. Again, it wasn't my first choice. Looking back on this last year, I'm glad that I did get the tandem because we've had a lot of fun in this tandem kayak. And over the year, I've learned a lot about the kayak itself, and I'll be honest with you, I'm very, very pleased with the kayak, particularly its weight capacity. I'm a big guy, but 500 pounds is plenty for both my wife and I. Plus, we could put gear in it if we needed to. But I actually got it on sale at Dick's Sporting Goods for $450, and I bought it last May. And over the year, I've done a lot to it. I've added a lot to it. But my personal thought on a kayak is you should get the one you can afford. Over this whole last year, I spent a lot of time looking at kayaks and thinking, man, I would like to have this one, or I would like to have that one. And I actually started saving up because I was really looking at one of the Perception 12-foot PDL kayaks with the pedals. And I still would like to have one of those, but they're about $1,800, and it's a lot of money. So right now, I've done a lot of modifications and additions to my kayak. And, over the last month, I've pretty much determined that this Perception Rambler it's an awesome kayak. It is got a huge weight capacity, very versatile. I'm capable of taking passengers on it. So, don't know that I really want another kayak, at least, until I've got, $1,800 for a pedal kayak. But, I guess if you really want to watch some other YouTubers on their opinions on kayaks, my first thought is you probably ought to watch Marty Zoffinger. Started out with a very inexpensive kayak. I think it was about 8 feet long, and done all kinds of things to it. And now he's kind of moved up into the Pelicans. He's had a Hobie before, but he's well, back to what I was saying before I had camera difficulties. I think the best kayak is the one you can afford. And there's a lot of talk about fishing kayaks and non-fishing kayaks, and my personal opinion is you can fish off of any kayak. This particular kayak didn't have anything for fishing. Didn't have any of this stuff up here. I've added that. Didn't have an anchor trolley. I've added that. If you watched my last video, you know I added that for camera mounts. I've added spaces for rod holders. I added first a smaller deck hatch, and then I switched to a much larger deck hatch with a hinge. Added another rod holder, so when I'm out doing the solo thing, puts everything I need right there in front of me. And if I'm doing the tandem thing, I can slide the seat back, and I can do everything from there. So like I said, this tandem for me has been awesome. Once again, added the kayak trolleys. Bought this particular piece from sundolphin.com. And, as far as inexpensive but fairly well made kayak, I think Sun Dolphins are great. They've got some neat features. This one has been awesome for me. And, and my opinion is, you can fish off any kayak. I've had some comments on some of my videos before where people have said they've stood and fished from this kayak. My preference is I like a much flatter deck than this one has. But then again, I am kind of a sit-down fisherman. I'm fine sitting down fishing. So, I guess, it needs to suit your style of what you're doing. But, and then I've also heard comments about, cheap kayaks, and I don't know that I would call them cheap. I think I'd call them inexpensive. I think Pelicans are good kayaks. I've looked at them. In fact, my first intent on purchasing a kayak was actually a Pelican Enforcer. And, right now, Academy Sports has got those in stock, probably 6 or 7 stacked on their floor in the store by my house. And it's a nice kayak, a very nice kayak with really nice features for about $600. The thing about the kayaks is, it's particularly this one, is, it's just a basic platform. You can do all kinds of stuff to this, which I have. I've added bungees in the front. I've added 3 different, actually this would be 6 different kayak hatches. I started with the 6-inch, went to the 8-inch. I added rod holders on there, or not rod holders, but paddle holders on the front. I actually added a couple of different kinds because I wasn't too impressed with the clip type, so I put the straps on there to hold them onto the clips. And I've actually driven up and down the highway at 80 miles an hour with those strapped in there, and they don't go anywhere. So, there's a lot you can do to make any kayak a fishing kayak. Recessed rod holders, those things are really inexpensive. It doesn't take much to put them in there. If you've got hole saw bits for your drill, you can drill them holes in about 30 seconds and put those things in. Mine are riveted in. You could screw them in. There's a lot of things you can do. So my opinion is the best kayak is the one you can afford. And I started watching Marty Zoffinger probably about 4 years ago, watching all the stuff he was doing, and I was thinking to myself, man, that just looks like a blast. And, never been on a kayak until I bought this one. We've been places where the kids have been on kayaks, and my wife and I have been in a canoe. But this was the first one I bought. And like I said before, it wasn't my first choice. But particularly over the last month, since I've done some more things to it, I'm really liking this kayak, probably better than I ever have. And I've had it for almost a year now. So, my opinion is if you wait until you can afford the best, if you want to spend $3,500 on a Hobie and you're saving your pennies for it, that's fine. But my opinion is you're missing a lot of fun by not getting what you can afford. So my opinion is get the one you can afford and get it now. Get out there, start having fun with it. As Tripp says from Sailing and Such, get out there. So anyway, there's a lot out there to choose from. If you're a big guy like me, you're probably going to require about 12 feet of kayak just to support your weight. If you're a smaller guy, you can probably get away with an 8 or a 10 footer. But if you've got family, I highly recommend one of these Perception Tandem 13.5 foot Ramblers. And Perception actually makes 2 different ones. This one is carried by Dick's, but they make another one that the seat's set up a little higher, and it appears to be a little wider, but about the same price. So my opinion, once again, and I can't stress this enough, is the best kayak is the one you can afford. And the best kayak is the one that belongs to you. And the best kayak is the one you're out there having fun on. So find yourself a kayak and have some fun. Have a great day. Please like and subscribe.